buying an NFT doesn't necessarily mean you own the artwork. Putting something on the blockchain doesn't make intellectual property problems disappear. Web3 creates an entirely new layer of IP risk. In this video, we'll break down the critical legal issues founders, creators, and builders need to understand before they launch. Web3 creates new ways to own, trade, and commercialize digital assets, but traditional intellectual property rules still apply. In fact, projects combining code, artwork, music, branding, community content, and tokenized assets can create more IP pressure points than conventional software businesses. A blockchain can provide a record of transactions, but it cannot correct unclear ownership or missing rights assignments. Founders need to determine who owns each creative asset, what can be licensed, and which rights actually accompany a digital transaction. Purchasing an NFT, token, or digital collectible generally transfers the digital record, not the underlying copyright or trademark. Unless a written license or assignment says otherwise, those intellectual property rights typically remain with the creator or other rights holder. Copyright protects many of the core assets that power Web3 projects, including artwork, music, animation, software code, text, and audiovisual works. Understanding who owns these materials is therefore fundamental to building a defensible digital asset ecosystem. Freelancers, agencies, developers, artists, writers, and other collaborators may retain rights in their contributions, unless those rights are properly transferred. Written assignments and licenses should establish ownership, compensation, and permitted uses before those assets become integral to the project. Imagine an NFT project employing an artist, smart contract developer, lore writer, and animator. If the company fails to secure the necessary assignments or licenses, recording the finished collection on a blockchain does not suddenly give the company the legal rights to sell, display, license, or enforce those assets. Web3 projects routinely connect creators, companies, marketplaces, and buyers across different countries. Because copyright rules vary between jurisdictions, a project involving parties in the United States, Japan, and Europe may face several different legal frameworks simultaneously. Digital asset licenses can range from narrow personal use rights to broader commercial permissions covering merchandise, marketing, or derivative works. Projects should deliberately determine which rights accompany their tokens, rather than allowing buyers to infer those rights from marketing or community expectations. Licensing terms should align across contracts, metadata, websites, minting interfaces, and marketplace disclosures. Contradictory language can create uncertainty over what token holders actually purchased and potentially undermine the project's broader business model. If you're finding this discussion helpful, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more legal insights on Web3, digital assets, AI, gaming, and emerging technologies. Web3 companies should clear project names, logos, slogans, and other brand identifiers before launching or minting assets. Discovering a conflicting trademark after a community and marketplace presence has already been established can force an expensive rebrand. Trademark strategies must account for downloadable virtual goods, digital marketplaces, and metaverse services, rather than focusing exclusively on physical products. The United States and Japan have both developed frameworks addressing trademarks associated with virtual goods and services. Trademark protection is territorial, meaning a brand available in the United States may already conflict with existing rights in Japan or another important market. Web3 businesses should therefore conduct clearance in the jurisdictions where their developers, customers, partners, and marketplaces operate. Web3 development relies heavily on open-source libraries, public repositories, and reusable smart contract code. These resources may carry attribution, disclosure, copyleft, or redistribution requirements that continue to apply even when the code is freely accessible. A smart contract can be technically secure while still creating intellectual property problems. Copying code without reviewing its license or incorporating incompatible GPL-licensed components can create unexpected obligations, even when the software functions exactly as intended. Community-led projects often involve many contributors creating code, artwork, branding, and other assets. Governance votes alone do not necessarily determine who legally owns that intellectual property or has authority to license and enforce it. DAOs should establish ownership through legal entities, contributor agreements, operating rules, and other formal documentation. Without a clear chain of title, counterparties may be reluctant to license project assets, and the community may lack an enforceable party capable of protecting them. A Web3 infringement dispute can involve creators, marketplaces, infringers, and users located across several countries. Rights holders, therefore, need to consider applicable law, jurisdiction, evidence preservation, forum selection, and practical enforcement before a conflict begins. Japan's copyright framework includes strong moral rights involving disclosure, attribution, and integrity, which can affect localization, adaptation, and modification of digital works. Japan-facing Web3 projects must also account for the country's evolving trademark guidance, covering virtual goods, NFT-related services, and metaverse brands. A strong Web3 IP strategy defines ownership, licensing, contributor rights, trademarks, code obligations, enforcement procedures, and cross-border documentation before launch. Blockchain can record transactions, but it cannot repair missing assignments, ambiguous licenses, or overlooked intellectual property problems after the fact. If you're launching a Web3 project or navigating intellectual property across the US, Japan, and other markets, visit gamalaw.com/contact to connect with us. Click the playlist on your screen now to continue learning how businesses can successfully navigate today's rapidly evolving legal landscape. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.